What's up guys, and welcome to today's Trailblazer video. In today's video, we're actually going to be discussing the 3 areas I am choosing for Trailblazer League as well as my first relic. And I actually don't have the source of whoever made this map. I'm sure it'd be a couple clicks away, but I do not have that name on hand, so I apologize for that. But I just want to say whoever made this map is an absolute legend. I use this thing extensively for helping me decide which 3 areas I wanted to unlock. First things first, I do want to add I actually don't know yet which area I am going to unlock first, but one of the 3 areas I am choosing is going to be Kandarin, and for that is because I feel like the content this area has is probably unmatched in terms of any other respective area. There's plenty of places to skill, plenty of things to kill, and that rhymed unintentionally. But let's go ahead and look at this graphic, which is absolutely beautiful. I cannot hype this thing up enough. You probably figure that out halfway through this video. But literally, we look at this Kandarin section, we'll have access to the Tentacle Whip. We all have access to Piety. One unfortunate thing about Piety is that it was actually going to be accessible immediately after getting 70 Prayer, because originally we were going to get those quests auto-completed. Since then, that has changed, and I think we have to do like 5 or so quests in that quest line in order to unlock Piety. Not too big of a deal, but for a person who absolutely hates questing like myself, it is kind of unfortunate. But apart from that, we also have Fighter Torso, one half of the cannon, Imbues, which is an absolutely massive one. Ultimately, you will figure out, though, that most of what I can get from Imbues I will not have unlocked. But then we'll also have Trident, Ibans, Dragon Skimmy, and Zenite Jewelry. I actually will not be doing the Ibans. I will be going for Trident, though. A little sneak peek for my plan, as well as the Myth Guild I believe we will have. But as I said earlier, Kandarin just has an absolute bunch of different varieties of content, from skilling to bosses to slayer bosses to just a little bit of everything. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to. We have Felled Up Hills, which is going to be a very good area to train your hunter. Red Chinchampas, which I will then even have access to the Monkey Madness Caves in order to use those chins, which is going to equate to insane range XP per hour. But without going into an incredible amount of detail, that is a good enough assumption of why I'm going to be choosing Kandarin. But now for our second of our 3 total areas we're going to be unlocking, I am going to be going with Asgarnia, which will unlock us Burthorpe, Troll Stronghold, Falador, and Port Sarim. Honestly, an incredibly good section of the map to unlock as well, especially in combination with Kandarin. One of my favorite Slayer bosses, which is Serb, I will have unlocked for this league, which is definitely going to be a lot of fun to grind for. We will also have the Giant Mole, which will be an easy way to help get some Nest for Brews. They also just announced in a recent live stream that Mole will be one of the bosses that's going to be instanced. So that will be an absolutely massive bonus, considering we can kill Mole anytime we want, no matter what, regardless. And then the final big one, which I haven't even mentioned yet, and I can't believe it, all the way up here at the top of Asgarnia, and that is God War's Dungeon, which is ultimately probably one of the main reasons I'm going to be choosing this area. As well as if we look over here on the right, we have Serbi Crystals, Void, God War's Dungeon Gear, the other half of the cannon, which ultimately I don't know if I'm even going to use. Well, I guess that'll be one thing we'll just have to wait and find out. But one of the main reasons I am going with this area is because I'm incredibly looking forward to soloing all of the God War's Dungeon bosses, which are also going to be instances, which is going to make that much easier and allow you to do them whenever you please, regardless of peak time or not. But now for the final of our 3 areas we're going to be choosing, we will be going with Morytania, or Swampletics Land if you prefer. But if you haven't noticed a theme, we're kind of going with a more PVM/Slayer path for our leagues, because that's honestly what I enjoy most in Old School, and I'm incredibly looking forward to doing it in leagues with buffed XP and relics. I think it's going to be an absolute lot of fun. But now going back to earlier, as I was talking about my imbues that we unlock with Kandarin, in Morytania we'll unlock the Black Mask, and that's ultimately going to be the only thing I'll be able to imbue. Actually, that's a lie. I just realized I will actually be able to imbue the Salve as well. So we'll be able to imbue the Salve and the Black Mask. Those are the 2 things we will be able to imbue throughout this league, which, if you ask me, are actually 2 pretty solid imbues, especially the Slayer Helm, because it then buffs damage for range and mage, not just melee, which makes an absolutely massive difference, especially depending on the task you receive. But apart from that, we get Barrows, which is one of my favorite, I think it's even considered a mini game, but one of my favorite more PvM related things to do in the entire game. And we unlock Nightmare, which will be a group boss, as well as TOB, which I do not have much experience on with the main game, so I'm incredibly looking forward to doing it in this league with some buff relics, hopefully some God Wars gear, if not at the worst barrows. But I'm looking forward to spending a lot of my time trying to get points doing some in-game PvM content. Not to mention we already have the Fight Caves and Inferno automatically unlocked with Karamja, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying that out as well. But without going in really into too much detail, those are going to be the 3 areas I'm choosing and why. If you do want some more detail, definitely check out some other creators' videos. There are plenty already out. I don't feel the need to just go ahead and repeat what they've said in a different manner. So definitely go check out some of those videos. If you're still confused on which area you want to choose yourself, go see each area's pros and cons and ultimately make that decision on what area is going to have the most content that you will be able to enjoy, because that's obviously the most important part. Personally, I kind of juggled around a bit with Fremennik as well as Morytania as my 3rd region. I had originally had kind of locked Kandarin and Asgarnia down, and then my 3rd region was 100% between Fremennik and Morytania. Ultimately, I went with Morytania because I was able to access the Black Mask and some much better in-game PvM content, which is most likely going to be kind of my main path in this league. But now that you know my 3 areas I will be choosing, we will now go over the Relic. Well, I guess just the first Relic, because those are the only ones we have now. And for the entirety of my original planning, I was like 100% convinced that I was going with Production Master, because in my opinion, that's a very good relic to go along with a PvM path, because you'll bank a lot of supplies, and Production Master will allow you to use those so much faster and gain such insane XP rates once you bank them. So they would have went perfectly hand in hand with me putting a priority on Slayer and PvM. But as of the last few days, I have ultimately changed my decision, and this is definitely what I'm going to be going with into Trailblazer, and that is going to be the Skilling Prodigy Relic. This relic gives you plus 12 in all non-combat skills and really allows you to compete and have a much better competitive advantage early on in the league. And my favorite part of the league, and limited time modes in general that Old School releases, is the beginning feeling of the pure rush. Everybody trying to be the first one to do this, do that, or just everybody competing against each other. And I feel like this relic is going to be perfect for just that little slight edge in the beginning to really help you do some first day things a little faster than some other players. And that's definitely going to be a big thrill for me on day 1, so that's why I'm going to be choosing this relic. And honestly, the biggest con of this relic is the fact that later on in the account, once you get into the 80s and the 90s, once you've unlocked the final tier content in each respective skill, this relic kind of becomes redundant or useless. But personally, I'm not going to be maxing this league, so the biggest con of that relic's not going to come into play, and it's going to allow me to have the most fun in the beginning, first few weeks and first month. But those are the 3 areas I'm going to be choosing in Trailblazer along with my first relic. Let me know down below which 3 areas you're choosing along with your first relic. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. There is a link down in the description below of my Trailblazer playlist if you want to check out any of the other videos I've made on Trailblazer. But if you guys enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or liking. Both massively help out the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.